This story points us to an even greater act of forgiveness. Way back at the beginning of the Bible, I shouldn't say way back, 52 pages earlier, Genesis chapter 3, we read of another story where face-to-face relationship is lost. The very first thing that happens after Adam and Eve disobey God and after sin enters the world and God comes looking for them, and what do Adam and Eve do? They hide their faces because they've lost that intimacy, they've lost that personal relationship with God, and they know that to see the face of God is death. And so they hide. And many, many years later, on the cross, you see Jesus who loses the relationship with God. But think of this. Jesus is the one who from the very beginning of time had enjoyed perfect face-to-face relationship with his Father. From the very beginning of created time and even before that, Jesus enjoyed perfect intimacy, perfect communion with God. Jesus and God could stare, and the Father could stare at each other in the face personally, intimately for all time, and it was a thing of joy and beauty. But on the cross, Jesus became the one who lost that relationship, who lost that face-to-face communion with his Father. Jesus cries out on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Which is another way of saying, why have you turned your face from me? And why did he do that? He did that so that we might gain that face-to-face relationship with the Father. He did that so that our sins might not be counted against us. He did that so that our sins and all the evil that we've done, and which so constantly clings to us in the words of our catechism, that might not be counted against us. Jesus lost that face-to-face relationship with his Father so that it might become ours. Now, when that softens your heart, when you take to heart that was for me, that begins to change you. It begins to soften you. It begins to mold you. And I think it compels us to do at least two things. First of all, it compels us to seek forgiveness from others, just as Jacob did. We can go to people that we have wronged, and we can say, yeah, you know what, I was wrong. That takes some humility. It's not always easy for us to do. But if we say, God has looked at me and knows everything, knows things about me that I don't even know, and he doesn't count it against me, then we can say, I can go to others and I can seek their forgiveness. And then related to that, we can grant forgiveness, right? Just as the Catechism puts it, as evidence of your grace in our life, we too grant forgiveness to others. Whatever you may have to forgive in another person, it may be something great, but it's never as great as what God has had to forgive in us. And so if you're actually, in fact,